Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, and wow, it's been a while. This is Mass TV, and we are back at it. It is the start of September 2025. And what does that mean? That means that the Namibian football landscape is about to heat up for the men and the women. And you know already, Mass TV has signed 6 streaming deals with 6 of the FMB Super Women's or Women's Super League football clubs. So we will be streaming those games as the season starts. We should hear in about a few days or so, a few weeks, about when the season will start for both of the leagues. So please stay tuned. We will definitely announce that news as it happens, when it happens. But yes, we are still Mass TV producing content, football content. And again, although I will be talking primarily about European football in the next 2 segments, don't worry. When our Namibian football starts and kicks off, we have so much content to be giving you from each of those 6 teams that we will be streaming and creating content for the FMB Women's Super League. But yes, my name is Emmanuel Nkara. We took a few days off just to figure out something about our a new strategy on a few things, but we're back, and I have 2 shows for you within this first episode that is not a live streaming. We're not live streaming at the current moment. We're just we're recording this, and you will be able to watch this both on I think all our platforms from now on. But yes, let's see how it goes. So today, what do we have in store for you? Of course, we have the weekend roundup. The weekend roundup and the fantasy football show. So what are we going to start with? Of course, we got to start with the weekend roundup. So, ladies and gentlemen, of course, the weekend roundup is just a roundup about the sports, the football results, and if there are other big results of any other sport code around in the Namibian country or around the world, Mass TV will be reporting it to you on a weekly basis. So we went around all 4 leagues, and the only thing that I will give to you during our preview show, I kind of go through all the games that I find interesting, and essentially in the roundup, what I'm doing now is not gonna talk about all the games and all the results. 1 game per league, I will tell you which games were important and pretty much very interesting, and change certain dynamics within the log table of that league, of those respectable leagues. So we're gonna start with probably the most less watched league in Europe, and that's the Bundesliga. Now, as I scoot a little bit to my left, right over here, we should have the result. Oh yeah, there it is. Of Werder Bremen versus Leverkusen. Why was this result an important result? Because, of course, Erik ten Hag was fired right after this game. Yeah, Erik ten Hag, the guy that said he had all the answers for Manchester United, he has been let go of at Bayern Leverkusen, and it's as you can see, Patrick Schick. If you've been watching Mass TV, I've been talking about Patrick Schick. He would probably be the only or the second option after Benjamin Sesko for Manchester United. If it wasn't Patrick Schick, or if it wasn't Benjamin Sesko, definitely Patrick Schick. You can see the damage that Patrick Schick had done in this game. And Tillman actually made it 2-0 to Leverkusen. So it was smooth sailing until Werder Bremen scored with Schmidt, and then, of course, Leverkusen came back with Patrick Schick. 64th minute. The game should be done. It's 3-1. But no. Even after a red card from Werder Bremen, that's the important stat right there. That's the important thing at the bottom right there. That Stark got a red card. A 10-man Werder Bremen came back from 3-1 down to essentially draw the game. Not to win the game, just to draw the game. That's embarrassing. I'm sorry, that's embarrassing. So Erik ten Hag has to do better wherever he goes. That was the interesting game, or the weekend roundup coming out of the Bundesliga. The most interesting game there. When we go to La Liga, a game that I partially watched live, is La Liga's Rayo. I always have an issue pronouncing this club's name. Rayo Vallecano. Rayo Vallecano. All right. So, against Barcelona. Now, I saw the penalty, a very weak penalty. Very weak penalty. I mean, the penalties that Barcelona sometimes get are very, opportunistic. Penalty by Lamau nonetheless. But if you know who Rayo Vallecano are, you know that having them get a draw from Barcelona is a big result. This team has been fighting relegation. It's essentially the Everton of the league. Who else can I say? Yeah, it's the Everton of the English Premier League, even though Everton are doing pretty well lately. But yeah, this was a big result for them. There was a lot of pressure. Dani Olmo came on to give pressure. Pedri was constantly pressurizing the defense of Rayo Vallecano, but they stood fast and they got the draw. So big result, maybe essentially for the Real Madrid fans and such, but still a shocking result from La Liga there. Then we go over to my favorite league, which is Serie A. Right here, Inter Milan versus Udinese. This is a shocking result. Of course, Juventus won 1-0 against Genoa. Dusan Vlahovic doing what he does. But this was a bad result for Inter Milan. I watched the highlights. Denzel Dumfries, still, to me, the best right back in the world. Let me say it again. Trent Alexander, Frimpong, I don't care who you are. Denzel Dumfries is the best right back in the world. Putting Inter in the lead. And then after that, it just fell to Udinese. And Udinese really have been struggling through the last 5 years. I can't even call them an Everton team because I believe they were relegated around 4 years ago, coming back very swiftly. But they're a team that constantly struggles. I would kind of put them in the boat of a Southampton, a team like that. But either way, big, bad result for Inter Milan and a very good result for us Juventus supporters. And lastly, for the weekend roundup, we go to England. And as you see, Brighton versus Man City. 2-1. I'm sure all of you guys have seen it by now. James Milner. Of course, Haaland putting the Man City team in the lead with this just a toe poke of a ball after Mamouche broke through the center of the box. But for James Milner to score a penalty, I even asked my friend, I looked at this result as it was going on when it was on Sunday afternoon. And I was like, is that James Milner? The old man James Milner. James Milner slotted a penalty and an 89th minute winner for Brighton was absolutely scenes to behold for that team. And because they haven't been doing quite well. As you might remember, and you might know that going into my fantasy football team, I have the goalkeeper from Brighton, Verbruggen. So I always keep an eye on Brighton, and they've not been doing too well. This result can kickstart their season. So hopefully it does, essentially because I have a few players from them on my fantasy football team. And there you have it for the weekend roundup as I come back to the center line